It has been forever since I have spoken to my next guest. It's been a couple years at least, and it is so great to talk to him because he's back in action. Shamrock FC 337 this Saturday. Arian Zekti back here on the program. Arian, how are you, sir?
Doing well, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing awesome. I love the mustache. How often do you get compliments on those? You look like you're going to go rob a bank or something in the Wild West.
I can actually do the handlebar now. I just don't have it because I'm at work. So whenever I handlebar and I'm out and about, all the men are like a nod of like respect, and I'm pretty sure like all the women just like immediately turn around and just run away. So
I like the honesty there, man, for sure. You mentioned work. Like I said, it's been a bit since we've chatted. What are you doing for work now? Because I remember I want to say years ago when we talked, you were sort of in the accounting industry. Is that still the case?
yeah, so I graduated with a degree in finance, and I was working as a financial business analyst. Yes-ish. I actually learned quite a bit more since then. Obviously, in my professional life, I learned how to code in various different languages, and now I'm like in a very like niche role where it's like information systems, finance, data. I work as like an IS person, but I also handle financial information. So it's a broad role, and unfortunately, sometimes I can get called randomly. So my schedule is hectic, but I love what I do, and it's been very much a blessing because the money that I make in my day job and the flexibility I have with my professional life allows me the financial security I need to continue fighting, and more importantly, the flexibility in my schedule allows me to take interviews like this, train at weird times, go the distance if I need to travel for fights or what have you. So all the decisions I made up until now have just really peaked right when I needed them to, and I thank God and I guess younger Arion for the things he laid in place for me now.
There you go. You laid the foundation, man. It's great. It looked like you got some notice for this fight. When did you find out? Because I know you had an original opponent. Austin's been the replacement.
Yeah. So I was supposed to fight Casey Tanner, and I'm gonna say this in every single interview that I can. Fuck Casey Tanner. He's a giant bully who enjoys fighting shit bum tomato cans and punches down. And then when he has a real fight, this is like the second or third time he's backed out from a fight with me. So I'm not really gonna hold the punches anymore. He's a coward, and I want everyone to know that he's a coward. 6-0, hasn't had a real fight, and I don't think he ever will have a real fight. So with that, respect to Austin Bashi for taking this fight on 3 weeks notice, which I think speaks volumes about his confidence in himself. A little ill-advised, probably not what I would have told him to do as his coach, but as his competitor. I'm just thankful someone took the fight, and I still have a fight coming up.
And what do you know about him? Undefeated kid, he's 20 years old. He's got a 5-0 record. What's sort of the tail of the tape on him from your perspective?
I mean, I want to be as respectful as possible because he is such a young kid. He's 20 years old, but I mean, 5-0, and the cumulative record of his opponents are 6-4. I have as many victories as all of his opponents combined. So when Tapology is a hell of a resource and a hell of a database. It eliminates all the bullshit. So if you look at the cumulative records of all my opponents, 30-19. That means in my 7 fights, I've beaten guys, or I've fought guys that have 30 wins and 19 losses, almost 50 fights cumulative. And Austin has, 10. So he's 5-0, undefeated, 2-0 as an amateur and then went pro. I think he's rushing his career. I'm sure he's like an athletic specimen. I mean, you're 20 years old. How can you not be? You're not even old enough to get the down of age. But I just don't think he's ever, experienced a fight like he's about to have. I mean, I know that he's been training since he was a little kid, and I know he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, which I could do a seminar on why that's bullshit. But at 20 years old, a brown belt? Are you fucking kidding me? You're not even supposed to get your blue belt until you're 18. So even if you've been doing jiu-jitsu since you were like 8 years old, as soon as you turn 18, you're only supposed to have a blue belt. So whoever the fuck is promoting him, I question their judgment as a jiu-jitsu instructor. This kid is 20 years old, 5-0, fighting, in my opinion, tomato cans. But they're the fights he needed. The only problem is he rushed his career, man. He should have had more amateur fights. When he sits there and says, like, I can't find opponents, then branch out. I was 10-0 as an amateur, multiple weight, 45 and 35, multiple promotion before I went pro. And I finished school because I knew that this is the framework for my life. I don't know. I don't necessarily blame Austin, but I don't know who's in his corner, like whether it's his family or his trainers or whatever, but someone needs to pump the brakes on this kid, because after the beating that I'm going to put on him this weekend, he's going to have to sit back and like deal with reality. Because I remember what it was like to be the undefeated young prospect, hot shit, didn't think I could lose to anybody. And then one split decision loss changed the paradigm of my career forever. I am such a huge step up in competition for Austin Bashi that it's gonna be a culture shock for him. Like the fabric of his reality will shift when he's in the cage with me, because he's never experienced someone who enjoys the pocket, who enjoys the various aspects of fighting, and more importantly, will stay there through all the thick and thin. You're not gonna just take me down and ride me out and take my back and give me these little foo-foo punches and have me sit there. Bro, I'm going to break your fucking face. And if you try to take me down, I'm going to stuff you. I've had fights that have gone the distance, that have been tough, grueling fights. He's gone the distance against guys that haven't even won fights. Like, if you gave me his strength of schedule, I'd be 5-0 with 5 finishes in the first round. And if I gave him my strength of schedule, he would not be undefeated.
Love it. Love it. That's great. Training camp. Who have you mainly had a chance to work with leading into this fight?
We've actually kind of like, ever since our last talk, I left the Wolves Den a couple of years ago just from logistics. I moved and it was too far of a drive. So shout out to Sean Woodson and those guys. They're cool people. But I train now at All in One Fitness, and we're kind of morphing like an MMA team around me, which is it sounds very selfish, and it is. But one of the nice things about that is, like, the guys that I have around me since we've started training, I think Nico's 5-0, Chris is 4-0, and Jose's 2-1. So what does that make? 11-1 cumulative with all those other guys. If you add my 3 wins, we are 14-1. Not a bad record for a group of 4 or 5 guys. You know what I mean? Wide range of skill sets, wide range of weight classes, and it's been really phenomenal. Granted, Nico just won his fight on Bellator. He was. It was like the first time that Bellator did an amateur fight, which was amazing. A good experience for him. He went to 5-0 on that one. And he's actually been my main training partner for this one. He walks around like 200 pounds. He's like 6'1", 6 foot tall. And he's been the one who's been really pushing me, like, physically and like mentally for this fight. I find that when I train with people my size, it's almost like I have to be careful not to break my toys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The nice thing about Jose and Nico is, like, they're just bigger than me. Jose walked around like 165, 170. Nico walks around 200. Jose and Nico are both taller than me. Phenomenal wrestlers, phenomenal grapplers. So every time we lock up, I have like someone bigger and stronger to work with. And then when I move with like the guys my size, it's like it's a breath of fresh air. That's one of the things I think about this fight is, like, I've just dealt with so much adversity and comeback and ebb and flow of fighting throughout these last 10 years of my career, that I just think about Austin Bashi as an opponent, and I'm like, dude, you just have so much to learn. You don't know what you don't know. And it's a very melancholy, weird feeling I have going into this one, because usually I want to cause pain, I want to hurt people, and I feel disrespected that they would accept a fight against me. But in this one, I feel like it's like a child that just doesn't know better. And I just want to get the W, get my belt, move on to Bellator. And I think Austin will be a beast. I think in time he will flourish, but I think he's going way too fast. I think he needs to pump the brakes. I think he needs to slow down and reassess. And I think after this weekend, he will tell you the same.
And you kind of just answered my question there. So if you win the belt, you're automatically, I don't know if they're still doing that with Bellator, where if you win a title in Shamrock, they promote you. So that's still the case?
So one of the nice things about Bellator coming into St. Louis was I actually got to sit down and talk with Scott and Scott Coker. Sorry, I should probably elaborate. And I just like the vibe that I got from him. You know, he was a very cool guy, very down to earth. We had a quick conversation, 2-3 minutes, and I just kind of said, "Hey, I'm Ariane," and he knew about me already, which was nice. It's a weird feeling because I feel like every fighter wants to go to the UFC, and I never want to burn bridges, but especially with how the paradigm of like fighter relationships, to management there has been shaking up. I just see so many fissures and fractures, and I do this because I want to, not because I have to.
Mhm.
For me, I just want to make sure that I'm respected and appreciated and promoted properly. And for lack of a better way to say it, I just see Dana saying so much stupid shit about so many fighters. And I think like this long on top has kind of fucked with his head. And he thinks he can talk this way about people. But make no mistake, I mean, you need a Bellator. You need a ONE FC. You need these direct competitors, because if it was just the UFC, I would not like a world where that was the case. So after speaking with Scott and just some of the things we talked about, I really like the vibe there. I really like their bantamweight division. I think Bellator's bantamweight division is fucking stacked. I think anyone in the top 10 is world class, with the exception of, I think, James Gallagher. He's a top 10, and I don't know about that one. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to Saturday night. I'm looking forward to putting on an absolute performance to impress not only everybody, but the people that I really want to impress, the guys that are a little high up. And then on to what's next, on to what I've always said from day one was going to be the case for me, the big leagues. So I can't wait. This is just the last stepping stone on the local scene for me.
We can't wait. Shamrock FC 337, April 9th, this Saturday. Aaron, thanks so much for doing this, man. We got to do interviews closer in between than the last time, man. It was a good chat with you. Just anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
I want to thank you. Thank you for rescheduling. I'm terribly sorry about, having
All good.
to.
We made it happen.
And then I just want to shout out Shamrock FC, Jesse Finney, Rob Donaker. The last 4 or 5 years, I told them that I don't want any special treatment. I don't want anything. I know that I'm like a good talking person and I'm a good face to have. But what I want more than anything is the toughest fights they can find me. And they've obliged me for the last 4 or 5 years. So I want to thank them.